This is not my first time here, on this part of the Danish coastline. Though it was not to cold plunge, I came here to visit one of Denmark's most visited museums. Next to it, there is a cold plunge spot I had been curious to try for a long time. And today I finally came. The light is doing something that I just cannot name. And somewhere on the walk down from the hilltop, I already knew today is going to be a very special session. Probably one of the most meditative one I've ever experienced in my time cold plunging. This channel is about cold water plunging and exploring the Danish coast. If you want to disconnect from a fast-paced life and just enjoy the sound of the water, welcome. You'll experience how each plunge feels, so follow along to discover the beauty of this part of Scandinavia. So I decided to arrive early before anything opens and to make sure I could truly enjoy this moment. The walk down starts at the top of the hill. There are long steps and the view already is amazing, and I'm just thinking how is going to be this cold plunge. And this type of path is the kind that slow you down deliberately. And I think that is the point. The focus is very often too much on the actual cold plunge, which is fair enough. But there is a lot happening before, whether you cold plunge in the sea, in a lake, in a river, or even at home. All that preparation time, I think, plays a big role in your mindset. Cold plunges have a preparation phase. You drive there, you park, you walk, you try not to think too much. But some spots, the ones where the water is not immediately in front of you, they give you something different. They give you a type of descent, a path that takes time. And on descent, your body starts to prepare without being asked. I could see the water from halfway down the steps. Everything was so calm, no wind. And the horizon was just something else. I had never experienced it before. Cold plunge mornings are usually quiet. The water, maybe the wind. You notice the absence of other things without realizing it, actually. It just becomes the background. When I arrived, the jetty was empty. There was a bench, a real one. If you have cold plunged at enough spots, you know that somewhere to sit and change is very much appreciated. And there are never any guarantees what you're going to find to get changed. Sometimes it's just a wooden plank, a post to lean against, or even nothing. But this one had a bench, so I could change slowly and get ready for my cold plunge. Flat water changes the experience entirely. The cold feels different when there is no movement. It wraps around you instead of hitting you. You have to go to it. It doesn't come to you. I looked at the ladder, steep but safe. I looked at the water, clear and very still. And I'm thinking, I have stood on this coastline before, looking at this view from above, from the museum. But I had never looked at it from this low, from the waterline. And that is a different view entirely. And when you see what I'm seeing, this sunrise about to hit me, I'm thinking today is gonna be absolutely amazing. Today, I am getting into the water with a very peaceful state of mind. I'm absolutely relaxed, and I cannot wait to enjoy the view. And this cold, I know, will wake me up. The seabed here is sandy, which makes the experience enjoyable. I've tried many spots along the coast, and some of them have pebbles or rocks, a bit more depth, and that means I need to pay more attention. But here, I can feel that the sand shifting slightly underfoot is actually very okay. And therefore, I'm just trying to embrace the moment and stop moving. And today is a meditative experience, like I said, because everything is aligned, from the weather, the sunrise, the silence, the water, without too much movement. I really, really enjoy it. And I know that I stayed long enough. And that's the thing about cold plunges that go well. You sometimes stop tracking time. There is something specific about Denmark and cold water. It is not a recent thing, not a trend that has just arrived somewhere and found its way here. The Danes have been getting into cold water for a very long time. Being in winter, in the sea, in groups, and even alone. Here we call it vinterbelning, which literally translates to winter bathing. And it's not about suffering. It's neither about proving something. Most of the Danes that I've watched cold plunge do it the same way, quietly, methodically, without drama. They just get in, they breathe, they get out, and they get a coffee, get a tea, and get to enjoy the moment. It is part of the rhythm of the season. As natural as a walk, as expected as the tide. And trust me, I'm French. I grew up near the mountains, and where the cold was altitude and snow, and something to be dressed against. The sea was for summertime. Coming to Denmark changed that. Not because I read about it, but because I watched it. And at some point, I stopped watching and started getting it. What I've noticed, after cold plunging for many months, hundreds of times, is that the practice is less about the cold and more about the place. The specific place. The jetty, the sound of water, the exact color of the sky on a particular morning. I know it's gonna sound a bit abstract, but cold plunge somewhere. And that somewhere becomes part of what you're doing. And that's what I'm enjoying, trying new spots, to see how is this somewhere going to affect my cold plunge. I have cold plunged at many spots. Some are beautiful, some are difficult, some are practical, some are close to home, some have nothing special, and just a very few stay with you. And what I'm trying to describe here is the difference between a spot that is good and a spot that is complete, where the conditions, the place, the moment, and your own state of mind arrive at the same point at the same time. And trust me, that does not happen on demand. And when it does, you really want to recognize it immediately and make sure to enjoy it. After the cold plunge, I've been thinking about what made this morning what it was. The spot itself is genuinely exceptional. The bench, the sandy floor, the position of the jetty relative to the light, the fact that I arrived just before anyone else, before the day had even started for this place. But I think what made it the one was the combination of things I had no control over. The air just cold enough to make the water feel earned, but not so cold that the mind goes defensive. The sunrise arriving at that particular angle, the wind choosing on that day to be absent. And honestly, you cannot plan for that alignment. You can only show up consistently enough that eventually the conditions meet you. And you are there when they do. I think that is what the Danes understood a long time ago about this practice. Not that cold water is always transformative, but that if you go to the water regularly, in all conditions, through the full season, the mornings when everything comes together are not rare, they are just waiting. After the cold plunge and getting changed, I got to enjoy the sun up in the sky, enjoying the elements, the sea, and I walked back the steps slowly. I had arrived curious about this spot, and I left with a confirmation. Some places make the cold plunge what it is. Not despite the conditions, but because all of them together. The place, the cold, the light, the sound, the silence between sounds. If you have found somewhere like that, a cold plunge spot or any place that does that particular thing to your head, I would love to hear about it. Which part of the world are you from? And how is this impacting the experience? You're very welcome to write a comment, and I'll make sure to respond to it. By the way, I'm just an ordinary guy who really happens to love the cold and water. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode.